Well, welcome back to my channel. I do project cans, although you don't know I low vision, but today's video, the Ford Mustang. But before I talk about that, don't forget to hit subscribe to some more awesome content channel. I do songwriting, history lesson, automobile repair. It blow your mind what I can do at low vision. Check out my channel, you'd be amazed. Now to today's video, the Ford Mustang. Introduced in 1964, sold as a 65 model called the 64.5 Mustang. It was a 65 Mustang but sold in 64. The Ford Mustang was a success. People were flocking to buy Mustang. It was a Mustang, get a Mustang. They had many different options, too many things to list that you could add back in the day. Many different engine options. But then the early 70s came and the Mustang started to, have a little issue because they had the oil stuff going on and environmental stuff and everything like that. So Ford had to go through a little bit of struggle with the Mustang. So then they ended up running into a little bit of struggle, but they held strong and kept the Mustang going. Now in the 80s, the Mustang was still being sold and stuff like that. But in the middle of the 80s, Ford almost changed the whole Mustang, but they did not. Thank God they did not make the Mustang front-wheel drive. They kept it rear-wheel drive. Though the Ford Probe is a good car, the Ford Probe was supposed to be the 4th generation Ford Mustang. The Ford Probe and Mazda MX-6 is a front-wheel drive coupe sports car that Ford wanted to replace the Mustang. Yes, they wanted the Probe to replace the Mustang. If you don't know what a Ford Probe is, go check out my channel about the Probe. Now, people were writing to Ford and people were writing they were going to go to Chevy and get the Camaro. They did not want a front-wheel drive 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder Mustang only option. They never would have made a V8 Mustang if they used the Probe's design. But luckily they didn't do that. Luckily they didn't kill the Mustang. Thank God the Mustang stayed a rear-wheel drive car. And in 94, the 4th generation Mustang came out, known as a GN95 platform. That body style was made all the way up until 04 with a couple of changes. In 98 they changed the taillight. But in a certain year they offered a 4.8 supercharged, making over 390 some horsepower. And in 95 they made a special model Cobra with a special engine. And they made a couple of different engine options all the way around there. Then Ford kept going. The Mustang's going good. They made awesome body styles and stuff like that. The Mustang I disapprove of. I do not think the Mach-E should be a Mustang. I think it should be called something else. A Mustang is meant to be a muscle car or sportiness. Don't get me wrong though, they have an experimental car that they made called the Mustang 1400 Mach-E that has 1400 horsepower electric engine. But to me, the Mustang needs to stay a coupe, a two-door. That's my opinion. But the Black Horse, that's a good Mustang. The Black Horse 2024 that's coming out. You all are going to love it. That's one of the best Mustangs I highly recommend getting your hands on. It has a Coyote V8, but it's supercharged and it's souped up. And it sounds real nice when it ran. I checked it out at a Ford dealer and it was pretty cool. I highly recommend getting one of those if you can. But my friend Bob has a 65 Mustang. My other friend has a 68. I have a Mustang myself, but I do not drive. It just sits in front of my house. It has no rust or anything. It's an older Mustang. It's a Cobra that I have. And it's a fast car. Mine is not stock though. Mine is aftermarket, even though I can't drive, but that thing's souped. That thing's aftermarket. But what I want to say, if you want to get a Mustang, be careful. They do not handle well in the rain, being a rear-wheel drive, or in the snow. And Mustangs are meant for speed. So they don't take the bumps well like a regular luxury car would. And they have small trunks and a very small back seat. But if you want a fast car, and as long as you ain't going to use it as a family car, Mustang might be the way for you, might be the car. But certain model Mustangs had an issue with the fuel tank behind the rear axle in certain car wrecks. And it could lead to a fuel leakage during a car wreck, depended on the model year Mustang. Look where your fuel tank is located on your Mustang if you have one, and look where the rear axle is. If the gas tank is behind the rear axle against the back bumper, call up the Ford dealer and ask them. And the Mustang, may I say, was one of Ford's best hits. And the Mustang continues to run strong today, with sales still going through the roof. But did you know they built a couple cars alongside the Mustang? Yes. The SVT Ford Contour was built alongside the Cobra in the 90s, but it was not a Mustang. Don't get me wrong. Don't ask me why they call it the SVT Cobra Mustang, because the Cobra Mustang is a Cobra Mustang, but SVT made a Contour. This is what I don't understand why they call it the SVT Contour. It did not have any engine that the Mustang had. The SVT Contour came with a 2.5 six-cylinder dual-overhead cam, made 195 horsepower, and at its final run of its last year, it made 200 horsepower, and was only optioned with a 5-speed. Now, to me, it was built in a factory where the Mustang was, but to me, that shouldn't be have an SVT Contour. But it is what it is. They also made an SVT Focus. But Ford made awesome cars back in the 90s. One is a Taurus V8 SHO that is super rare. If you can find one, I recommend it. They're fast cars. But weld the camshaft sprocket. They're an interference engine. When that lets go, the engine destroys itself. Catastrophic failure. But if you weld the camshaft sprocket, it's a defect at those motors, you have yourself a good car that's fast. 240 horsepower back in the day was a lot. Today, those numbers ain't as much anymore. But the Ford Taurus SHO V8 made from 96 to 99 is the only year you could get a V8 Taurus. Though the 2010 Ford Taurus SHO makes 365 horsepower with a 2. No, I'm bad. A 3.5 or a 3.7 V6 twin turbo. But turbos add more stress to an engine. I tell my fellow customers this all the time when I work on cars, and they say, "Can we put a turbo on it?" I say, "Yes, we can." But what's the mileage of your vehicle? Turbos make the engine work harder and puts more pressure and stress on an engine. Yeah, you have horsepower that's more, but do you really need all that horsepower for the street? Unless if you're going to race a car every day, I don't recommend putting turbos on a car. Now, it's up to you if you want it. If you have the wallet, so if things go wrong with your motor and you can fix it, then go ahead and put a turbo on. But if you're on a fixed income, don't do a turbo. Now, I will do another history lesson of another car coming soon. I hope you like the story of the Mustang. I look forward to seeing you all in the next cool video. Don't forget to hit subscribe button for more awesome content to the channel. I will see you in the next video. Peace.
Home. Back. Shutter.